Ladies and gentlemen all around the world, welcome to Next Up with Dr. E.
All right, good morning, everyone. I am so appreciative that you are joining us early this morning for another Next Up. You know, I used to hear something years ago, and no doubt you did too. There was this saying out there, what's up? What's up? Well, there's something up. There's something next coming our way. Again, thank you for joining the Next Up podcast. Again, we're all about delivering encouragement, edutainment, empowerment, so we can think about, so we can imagine, plan, and take steps toward a future that is so bright that Dr. Vaughn even says, you're going to need some shades to walk in it. Wow, a future so bright. I'm excited that you all are back with us again today, and those that will be watching after this podcast, that we're together. Because, you know, if we're going to go into the future, you don't want to just really go by yourself. You want to take other people with you. And I have a special guest today. We've been going into some next together. It's my good friend and brother right here in Georgia as well, Brother Todd Rose of TS Enterprises. Todd, man, it's a pleasure, as Les Brown would say, a plum-pleasing pleasure to have you on the podcast.
Well, I gotta say, Doc, the pleasure is all mine, brother. I love you, and I'm just so proud that I see you just doing new things every day, every month, every year, bringing just new stuff to the table, man, and keeping me on my toes. And I appreciate that. And just an honor to be in your presence and to be working with you and consider myself one of your partners, brother.
Well, man, we go back now, about 7 years,
Yeah.
something like that, 6 or 7 years. And, you know, Todd, when I was thinking about this interview this morning, it reminded me of a statement that Henry Ford said years ago. He said, coming together is a beginning. Staying together is progress.
Wow.
But working together is success.
Yes. Wow. I love that. Love it.
Coming together is a beginning. Staying together is progress, but working together is success. And our relationship really fits every one of those categories.
Yeah, absolutely. I can definitely attest to that fact. And I've got my notepad right here. I keep it by my desk. I'm writing that quote down right now, as a matter of fact.
Man. Yeah. So, man, yeah, it's been a pleasure. I'll never forget, man. And today we're talking to you all about the importance of relationships for your next. The importance of relationships for your next. And when I think about even David's mighty men, the men that came around David, Todd, they were men that had the dis. They were discontented, they were distressed, they were in debt. But when they got connected in that relationship, their next opened up to them. And when you look at the feats that these guys did in their next, but it was connected to relationships.
Yes.
You know, and so when I think about what we've done together, oh man, but let me go back when I first met you there in that, was it a health food store?
Yeah, Dr. Nancy's store.
Dr. Nancy's store.
In Conyers. Yeah.
And you were there in the audience, and we came up to the counter together there and said a few words. And you all, it has been on with Brother Rose and I since that time. I mean, this guy, you know, there's another statement out here, Todd, where people do business with people that they know. They took the time to get to know. They like them.
Yes.
And they trust them.
Yes.
And man, in our relationship, from my end, I've grown to know you, to like you, and you can tell I trust you. And by the way, what I saw this morning, oh man, I'm like, brother man got it going on. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You know, with the website and so forth, I'm like, man, this guy knows his stuff. So we're going to get into this, who Todd Rose is and some of the dynamic stuff that he has done. But Todd, you've been in several books. Let's talk about that. Your being in 3 of those books. Talk about your experience.
So I'll go back to what you just mentioned in terms of us first meeting, right? So Dr. Ellison was a presenter actually at a health conference that he and I both happened to attend. We had a mutual friend at the time, and he did his spiel, and I was totally engaged in his presentation. Like, he was really had me captivated with his things he talked about. As many of you know, he's a naturopathic doctor, so he really brought some good stuff to the table in terms of that conversation. And afterwards, he had some of his books on a table, and he happened to be located right next to the door. And I was actually on my way out the door. And having a journalism degree and being an author myself, I said, you know what? I always have to support authors when I see them. So I stopped by his table, started looking at his book, Beyond Your Comfort Zone. I was like, oh, wow, that's a good one right there. And if you might remember, Doc, I bought that one just off the cuff. I said, you know what? This is a good, I got to get this one. And then he said 3 words of a book that he was working on. After I told him, I said, Doc, you know, I got a a journalism degree. As we were getting to know each other, he was like, what? You got a journalism? What? I said, yeah, I got a journalism degree. He said, well, I'm working on something right now, man, that you could probably contribute to. He said, I'm working on a book called Men Magnifying Manhood. I said, huh? He said, Men Magnifying Manhood. And you know the old phrase, it said, you had me at hello. Well, Doc had me at Men Magnifying Manhood. I immediately said, well, how can I be involved? What do I need to do? And literally from our first meeting, we have been working in tandem and creating things and just creating next, you know, creating the next chapter as we go. And we've been doing that for the last 5 years. Then came Men Magnifying Manhood Volume 2. Yep. Then came Men Magnifying Marriage. And I'm in all of those books. And I know Dr. Ellison continues to write. So, and I do the same on my end. So those are just the first 3. We've got many more chapters of next to come.
Come on. And Todd, you got to talk a little bit, man, because, man, you a bad writer, brother. Man, those chapters that you wrote, you got to give a little bit out of, I think it was Men Magnifying Manhood Volume 1, or either one of them. Just give a little bit, and then we're going to go into your background. But man, when I looked at your writings, I'm like, man, this guy can talk, he can write. Now, you know, this is between you and I, you know you can talk. You have to know to see what I'm talking about. But he's not only a talker, he's a dynamic writer. Give us a little snippet of what you wrote about in one of those books.
In Volume 1, it was more a testimony than anything. Talked about my life going to a historically Black college, having children at a young age, and really just going through how I dealt with that, how I had to cope with certain situations that I wasn't really ready for. You know, and hence the title of the book, Men Magnifying Manhood. I was a man in terms of age, but I wasn't a man in terms of my mental state and what the things that I was doing, the things that I was putting out there, the activities I was engaging in, and it led to me making some bad decisions. And it took me off course for a little while. And you know, I tell anyone, as I said, you know, kind of mentioned in the book, is that, you know, in your 20s, you know, you make a lot of mistakes in your 20s, you know, depending on the severity of those mistakes, you can spend your 30s, 40s, and 50s
trying to unravel those mistakes.
Trying to unravel those mistakes and make up for them, man. And that is in many ways a testimony of my life and what I shared in, you know, Men Magnifying Manhood Volume 1. And Volume 2, we got more into the spiritual aspects of what the enemy is doing out in society as it relates to men, as it relates to what men are doing and what men's mission is here on earth, and our divine mandate as men on the earth that was given to us by the Father. You know, we are to lead, we're to provide, we're to protect, we're to do all these things. And I just got into more of the conversation about how the enemy is coming against us. Not just men in terms of males, but in terms of women as well. and mankind even, so I got into a lot of that kind of stuff in volume 2. But I just have to say, Doc, that and forgive me, y'all, that's just an affectionate way I refer to Dr. Ellison. But being a part of those 2 books has literally been transformative for me. Just you extending that opportunity to me because of our relationship. It has been transformative to my life. It has opened my mind in ways that would never have happened had I not met you, had we not become friends, and had we not had a relationship. My life may be on an entirely different course right now. It's made me a better person, made me a better husband. It's made me a better father in all of those areas. And I just thank God for you being a friend to me in that way. Definitely.
Well, I heard something recently. You may have heard it as well. If you want to go fast, go by yourself. But if you want to go further, take others with you.
Yeah.
If you want to go fast, go by yourself. But if you really want to go far in life, you got to take others with you. And man, what you have meant to my assignment, and my wife and I's too, don't get me wrong, has been astronomical, because you came right in there. You came on the scenes, put your hands to the plow, and you haven't backed up, man. And it has just been a great blessing. Even as I looked at some work that you did again, that you were putting together this morning, I'm like, man, this guy knows his stuff. You need to connect up with him. And we're going to get into that about your Todd Rose Enterprises, because the stuff you do, man, I look at it the first time, thumbs up, he's got my heartbeat. So you've definitely gotten to know me as well as I've gotten to know you, to where it's like you pick up on, it's like you're able to take the baton and just move on just so much faster and further. And I like your lightning speed mind when it comes down to technology, because I'm old school, I'm slow, but man, you're able to get that stuff and just excel. Give us a little bit about your background. I think you said you spent some years in Germany. Talk to us for about 3 to 5 minutes about your background, education, all that good stuff. That you were a reporter. Talk to us.
Yeah. So I was born in Eatontown, New Jersey. My whole family is from South Georgia, Valdosta, Georgia. So those of you who are not familiar with Valdosta, if you've ever driven to Florida out of in Georgia, if you've ever driven to Florida, you have passed through Valdosta to 3 or 4 traffic lights in Valdosta. So
what?
Yeah, you've driven through Valdosta. So that's where my family is from, predominantly. And I was born in Eatontown, New Jersey. My father was a military brat. I'm sorry, my father was in the military, so I was a military brat. So from the age of 5 to about the age of 12 or 13, I lived in Germany with my father. He had been there actually 5 years prior to that. And he was there. He learned to speak fluent German, and all that. And then he brought us over, his family over. And I have to say, the years I spent there were actually absolutely transformative to my life. I saw a side of life that I never saw, that a young person, the average young person, doesn't get to see another culture in that way. Then I moved back to the States, and I've been.
Tyler, I got to ask you, do you speak any German?
Oh gosh, I speak very little at this point. While I was there, interestingly enough, and I was young, I spoke a lot of German. Just because it was around me all the time. The schools taught it and all that kind of stuff. But the old saying goes, if you don't use it, you lose it. So I kind of lost it. Now my father, he's still fluent. He still speaks fluent German. But but that reminds me, that's something I need to bone up on. But so basically came back to the States, went to high school in the States, wound up going to Morris Brown College on a full ROTC scholarship. And there, as a product of an HBCU, I had a whole nother awakening, a whole nother education in terms of culture in the United States. Got a journalism degree, spent some time working for the Valdosta Daily Times, as a matter of fact, as a beat reporter, covering government, industrial authority, city council, that kind of thing. And after that, I matriculated to the health department. So I worked as a public information officer for the Georgia Department of Public Health for total about 7 years. And there I ran statewide health campaigns, public relations and advertising campaigns for basically getting people to stop smoking. So
Okay.
one of my claims to fame is we actually lowered the smoking rates of teenagers during that time period. Some of the
Okay.
campaigns that we did. So um, that was a rewarding experience in and of itself. Just getting an education on the tobacco industry and how they target children. Quite honestly, many of you may be old enough to remember the candy cigarettes. Remember, it used to come like in
Oh
a
yeah.
little pack, looked like cigarettes, and they were candy cigarettes. When kids used to eat them, later I learned that that was grooming for getting people to smoke. And then
Wow.
one thing about the tobacco industry, and then I get off of that, but they're very clever with their advertising, and they spend quite a lot of money getting people to smoke. So that's one of the things I learned. Matriculated from there, got into the digital side of things, worked for YP.com for about 7 years. I was instrumental in helping to launch the digital arm of the Yellow Pages. The younger people may not be familiar with the Yellow Pages, but some of us who are a little older recall those phone books where they were like this
Oh
thick
yeah. Those
that they
thick.
used to deliver.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so over the years, they became door stoppers. They became, monitor holders. A running joke that we made at YP.com at the time was they would give all of us the Yellow Pages. So all of us would basically put them under our monitors to boost our monitors up throughout the entire office. So everywhere you go in the
Okay.
office, you had about 3 phone books underneath each monitor. So just kind of a running joke there. But that experience got me headlong into digital media, social media, website development, search engine marketing, online advertising. And I'm the type of person when I adopt a new skill or I study into something, it never leaves me. It's just an add-on for me. So the writing, the journalism, the digital media, the website, all of those things are in my wheelhouse, so
Now,
to
now,
speak.
now, let me stop and put a plug in. You all today were talking about the importance of relationships for your next.
Hmm.
And I'm telling you, I wouldn't be in some of the dimensions of my next if it wasn't for a relationship like the one that I have with Todd. Because it's like he has, and I've got my little baton here, Todd. I love my baton. So it's like he has gotten some of what I have done, got it in his hand, and he has taken my thoughts further. And man, I like the way you're able to take my thoughts too. I've seen it quite often. This guy, you all will take my thoughts, and by the time he gets through amplifying my thoughts, I'm like, you mean I said it like that? you know, but he's done an excellent job in taking the baton. And in life, if you're going to go far, you got to think about the relationships. We got to spend time connecting, building those relationships, adding value to one another. And man, you have done it to me, and my prayer is the same thing with you. So look, you want to reach out to this brother. He is awesome with this website and this social media stuff. I'm telling you firsthand for what he has done. I mean, with Success Dynamics.
Mhm.
We're going to talk about that and your role there, your dynamic role with the nonprofit, with AGI, and now even with Ellison Consulting, man. And I was just thrilled when I saw this morning. I'm like, what am I to say other than thumbs up to what I saw? So, Todd, let's go into that and talk about your role with Riser. Yeah,
Riser. Wow, Riser.
well, yeah, let me say this first of all. I founded the Riser program, and because Todd and I were already in connection, and when I looked at his skill set and this guy's ability to connect with young folks. Matter of fact, I can say this, Todd. Um, though I created it, I didn't like it. I didn't like working with children like that. And I'm so thankful to God that you've been here because you got it. I mean, like, I look at this dude, he can flow with the children like that. Now I pastored and used to love to hug the children and all that good stuff, and they would flock around me. But to do what you do with Riser, nah, that's not me. Talk about that, your role with Riser.
Yeah. So years ago, I worked and I may not have told you this, Dr. Ellison, but years ago I worked at the Boys and Girls Club during my summers when I
No,
was
you didn't tell me
out,
that.
my summer breaks. Yeah.
Okay.
So there I really found my heart for children there. And I was sort of a counselor with them, more of a sort of a supervisor for them. But I found that one thing that's that children and pets, for some reason, are attracted to me. So I'll tell a quick story before I get into that. Is my wife and I were at the park one day. And we had taken the kids to Piedmont Park for the day. You know, we would go out there, we would pack a cooler with some food and just go hang out in the park for the day. And myself and my son and my daughter, we were playing with the soccer ball. And within probably about 30 minutes of us playing with that ball, there was a crowd of about 4 or 5 other kids that just for some reason just gravitated over there and were playing with me and soccer ball and all of that kind of stuff. And my wife looked at this. She was like, "You know what? Kids are just attracted to you or whatever. I guess they think you just a big teddy bear or something." I said, "Well," I said, "Well, that's kind of fitting, the teddy bear, because I do think the kids think I'm a big teddy bear. That's why they're attracted to me. But I have to thank God for that because I've been able to develop my skill set in terms of communicating with children, not just my own children, but all children. And that kind of led me into the Riser program. So the Riser program, developed by Dr. Ellison, is a youth diversion program. And we were lucky enough to get into the graces of Gwinnett County Juvenile Court. And we enacted this program for over 5 years now. And what it does is children that have gotten into some issues with juvenile court, right before they go to juvenile facility for the first time. And I like to say we live in between the gavel going up and the gavel dropping. That's where we
Oh, yeah.
live, in that area. All of the programs previous to us dealt with them after they came out of the juvenile system. However, we were able to get several children, over 50 or 60 children over the last 5 years, actually a little bit more than that. And we were able to work with them. And when they go through our program, which is a module-based program, so we take them through modules, we look into their family tree, we get them doing exercises about time management, we get them to look at what they've done and then figure out ways to not repeat that behavior. And what we found is that when the youngest person in the family is having an issue, it's a family issue. It's not just
Yeah.
an issue with the young person, it's a family issue. So we found varying degrees of issues within particular families, from single parent homes to parents being incarcerated to, quite frankly, we've dealt with some families that had issues with young people being abused. And we were able to develop this modular program to help them with their life skills, but also to penetrate their aura, penetrate their energy, penetrate their minds, and get them thinking in a different direction and thinking differently about their circumstances. And I have to say, we have had a tremendous success with that program.
Oh, yeah.
And we have literally saved lives doing that program. And again, Doc, that relationship that you talked about, when you lockstep with someone and you share someone's work ethic and you share a common goal, there's nothing that can't be accomplished,
Yeah.
and our relationship is a testament to that for sure.
Well, you have really helped these ideas and these concepts go into a next. And I love the way you put together those modules digitally and just do an excellent job, man, the way you conduct those sessions with the youth. And it's been just a pleasure. You were right there when we launched the Men Magnifying Manhood movement as the marketing director for that. Talk about that for just a little bit. We've only got about 4 minutes left, so give us about a minute or two on the Men Magnifying Manhood movement that we've got going on.
Awesome. So many of you heard me speak about Men Magnifying Manhood Volume 1 and 2. So out of those books came a movement. I had asked Dr. Ellison early on. I called him one day out of the blue. I said, "You got a website?" He was like, "No, not yet." I said, "Okay, don't worry about it. I got it." Boom, built him a website. From there, it has been just on to the races for the last going on 6 years now. We do empowerment Zooms every Tuesday night. And if you visit ellisonsconsulting.com, you can leave us a message. You go to the contact page, leave a message there, and or menmagnifyingmanhood.com. Leave us a note, and we'll get some information to you if you want to join that. It's a platform for male empowerment. We empower men. We talk about a range of issues that are affecting men in today's society in real time. And it is a good time. Every Tuesday night at 8:30, we get on a Zoom and we go in. I mean, we go in all the way in. And we invite women to come onto our platform as well, because we found that women have a unique perspective on what manhood is, that it's valuable for us to know.
Give us a little, Todd, give us a little snippet. We got about 3 minutes left. Give us a little snippet of the impact that you have seen on some of the women that's been up there.
Oh, wow, man. Just one of the most recent calls we've had, we interviewed some young ladies who had experiences where their father was either not in the home or their father was in the home, but what they're telling their stories of what impact their father had in their lives just really fortified our mission in terms of empowering men to be better fathers, better husbands, and just better people and better leaders in society. And some of the women expressed how not having their father in their lives truly threw them off in terms of how they developed relationships with other men throughout their lives, from their husbands to their brothers to just family members, uncles, and all of that. So it really, really underscored the importance of fathers being in the family. Now, we've had these kinds of testimonies from men the entire time, but when we brought the women in and they gave their perspective, it just put a whole nother dimension on the importance of fathers and the importance of men, strong men in their communities, pouring into their communities, leading in their communities. But it all starts at home. The family is the most important unit. It's the smallest and the most basic unit of society. And it's a father, a mother, and children. When you have that unit together and everyone is doing what they're supposed to do, and the father is leading how he's supposed to lead, there's nothing a family cannot achieve. But when you take one of those elements out, you take the father, which biblically is the head, right? You take the father out of that equation, or the father doesn't always have himself right, it affects the entire family. Not only does it affect the family, it affects the broader family, the extended family. It affects society at large, which is why you see a lot of the things going on today in society that you see that are not quite kosher. But that is the mission of Men Magnifying Manhood, and we've had such a good time putting that mission forth. And hey, who knows what's next?
Come on. Hey, something's next. There's a next coming. Todd, tell people how they can reach you.
So I'll give my phone number, even 678-634-1448 if you want to call me. The name of my company is TS Rose Enterprises, and it's tsroseenterprises.com. And you can visit me there on my website. My business involves digital media, business development, social media content, copywriting, and I help businesses. I'm working with a few businesses right now to help them develop their digital footprint in terms of social media, website development, and a range of other things, as well as the mentorship and the counseling. That's another part of what I do as well. But tsroseenterprises.com, you can reach me there, send me a note, or through any of the websites, ellisonsconsulting.com, menmagnifyingmanhood.com, advantagegreeninc.com, successdynamiccdc.com. Any of those, you can reach. You can reach. If you can reach him, you can reach me. So
come on, that's it. And you know, it should be that way. You know what I'm saying? To where these, I like to say, these galaxies are intertwined.
Yes.
I want to take the moment to thank another Todd who's on the screen with us as well. And this guy has shown the same stick-to-itness as you've shown. So we're glad to have Brother Todd Haslam on screen with us this morning, as well as Sister Terry Gibson. She's with us. She's got a stick-to-it attitude. We've been talking for X time. We're going to have her and her husband on in the future to hear about what has happened in his life. So I appreciate the both of them being on, Todd Haslam and Terry Gibson, for being on this morning. Man, the time has just gone by so fast. This is all about pouring, and I forgot to bring my cup up in the beginning, but pouring encouragement, edutainment, and empowerment into our cups of life so that we will think, imagine, plan, and take those necessary steps toward our next. Now, as I close, I want to encourage you to don't forget to subscribe to this podcast. You can go to youtube.com/@Nxt Up podcast. Again, youtube.com/@Nxt Up podcast. Or you can reach us also at ellisonsconsulting.com. We will see you next time on Next Up. Have a great rest of your day.
Ladies and gentlemen all around the world, you've been listening to Dr. E on Next Up. We thank you.